Semester final exams are in progress, and as soon as they are over, the Wildcat basketball season will continue to be back in full swing. Welcome inside the SIBNs across the table. I'm Greg Ziton here with John Fanta as we look at the Wildcat basketball team as they are nearing the midpoint of their season and readying for a very big matchup with their rivals from St. Edward. The Wildcats come into this game with a mark of 8-2, and John, we've noticed this team. They got out of the gate very fast to start the season. They had two tough setbacks to Columbus Northland and St. Vincent St. Mary, which are two of the best teams in the state. But the Wildcats have responded, and really all season long their depth has helped them a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been their depth and, of course, their length. That's been very important for Saint Ignatius. They've been able to win the battle on the glass most of the time. Those two losses against St. Vincent St. Mary and then Columbus Northland, the first loss of the season for the Wildcats, those were games in which Saint Ignatius was out-hustled at times. And it starts at the defensive end of the floor for them. When they've played pretty good defensive basketball, then the Wildcats are getting stops and they're able to get in the open floor. But the concern this week, and in this big-time showdown, Greg, the 85th meeting between Saint Ignatius and St. Edward, the fourth-ranked team in the Plainview poll, and the Wildcats, the third-ranked team in St. Edward, facing off. The atmosphere present, and now is where the playmakers had to step up at about the midpoint of the season, the regular season.
Yes, the regular season this year has expanded to 22 games. It was previously 20, so the St. Edward game will be the midpoint. And you mentioned those Wildcat leaders. Let's highlight some of those guys. You look at seniors Derek Sloan, Francisco Santiago, and Alec Papish. Santiago's the shooting guard, Sloan's the power forward, and Papish is the center, who is a New York University recruit. But all three of those guys started last year, and they bring a lot of experience, a lot of depth, and all of them can score. They've got a lot of players around them helping them out as well. The Wildcats have used as many as 10 guys in their rotation in big games, but it really starts with that trio.
We talk about Coach O'Toole and how now this being his fifth season at St. Ignatius, now he really has his core guys, the guys who started with Coach O'Toole and now have gone through his program. And the importance of that is being shown. Santiago, Sloan, and Papish, those guys are the big three. Francisco is really an electric scorer, and he needs to be big on Saturday night for the Wildcats. He's got to be able to knock down the perimeter shot. What I like about Derek Sloan, Greg, is he is that spark plug for St. Ignatius. When he's going, it seems like the Wildcats are a much better basketball team. He makes everybody around him better when he really is pumped up, but he needs something to spark him up. And it's very important in a big game like this for a guy like Francisco Santiago and Sloan played together. These guys need to be hooking it up on Saturday.
And joining those three in the starting lineup for the Wildcats are junior point guard Danny Bova, who, even though he's a junior, is one of the captains on this team, so that shows you what kind of a leader he is, as well as small forward Kyle Berger. And then you look to the reserves, and the depth just continues on and on. You've got Austin Sturpka on the wing. You've got guys like Jalen McDonald and Isaiah Barbara. And then you've got Eric and David Black. So you've got a lot of depth, a lot of height, and really a lot of talent and all-around scoring.
Absolutely. This is up to an 11-man rotation if you throw in Brian Fisher as well. The Wildcats are deep. There's no question, Greg, but in the second half of this game, I'm really looking at it. Once the Eagles come out in the third quarter, they're very good at adjusting. Coach Eric Flannery now in his 17th season at St. Edward he's a very good coach. It's a great coaching matchup between Coach O'Toole and Coach Flannery. So the depth has got to be shown. This is a game in these big-time situations where Sturpka's got to contribute his 8 points a game. Danny Bova's got to contribute his 6 to 8. It's the game where guys have got to give their little contributions that may not seem like much at first, but that can really lead Francisco Santiago, Derek Sloan, and Alec Papish more when they're needed the most in the fourth quarter. The Wildcat offense went stagnant in those two losses. We saw Santiago, Sloan, and Papish the only guys really taking any shots. This is where the extra guys, they've learned from that. In a big game against St. Edward, you can't be afraid, Greg. You cannot fear.
Yes, Saturday night, the St. Edward Eagles come to Sullivan Gymnasium for the first of the team's two matchups this season. The second one will be at St. Edward, but you started to talk about some of the keys for the Wildcats on Saturday, and you said it, the Eagles are very good at adjusting. They're a very well-coached team, and the other thing we got to mention, they will bring the pressure. The Wildcats have struggled with that at times this season and historically against the Eagles when the Eagles bring a full-court press and trap, but point guards Danny Bova and Brian Fisher will have to be ready for that.
They will be challenged offensively, trying to break through St. Ed's defensive pressure. There's no doubt. We've seen it before. It's it's not anything that we haven't seen. So Coach O'Toole and the Wildcats have been working constantly on that at practice this week because that's a big element of this game. Goes back to adjusting. St. Ed's has actually had issues at times coming out and starting games. They were in a close one with Beechwood just this past Saturday. Beechwood had a 2-point lead going into halftime. Now, you may think little Beechwood, but they're having a great season. St. Ed's has made the key adjustments, so whether it was Beechwood, even a team like Solon, where St. Ed's battled back, they were able to top the Comets. May not seem like much, but those types of situations, they've helped them out now into the halfway point of the season. They've had a lot of experiences, so the Wildcats, it's 2 top 5 teams in the plain dealer poll. It doesn't get much better than this.
It's a rivalry, and as you said, both teams having great seasons so far. If you look at the plain dealer poll for Northeast Ohio, the Eagles sit at number 3, the Wildcats sit at number 4. And if you look at the state poll, they kind of switch roles. The Wildcats are up at number 7, the Eagles at number 14. That's a little bit interesting, but the Eagles are 9-3, John. And like the Wildcats, their 3 losses are to extremely good teams. You look at it, they fell to Cincinnati Summit Country Day, who some people overlook, but they're the defending Division III state champs. They're the best team ranked in Division III. They fell to Toledo St. John's Jesuit, always one of the best teams in the state in Division I. And then they fell to St. Vincent St. Mary, which the Wildcats did the same thing as well. But you look at this Eagles team, and like the Wildcats also, they're very deep. They've got a lot of guys contributing. And a couple players to highlight, you've got senior Tony Vianchik, who really is a dynamic scorer, especially when he has his jump shot going from deep. And then you look in the paint, 2 guys to watch out for, Kipper Nichols and Marcellus Hamilton.
Those guys have got to be huge, there's no doubt. Kipper Nichols and Marcellus Hamilton have got to get to the glass to try to challenge the Wildcats on both ends of the floor in the rebounding battle. I think that is a huge element in this game. On the offensive end, when Saint Ignatius is winning the rebounding battle, Alec Papish and Derek Sloan are very good on the block. It's very tough to stop them. So the Wildcats have got to use their height to their advantage. I don't see St. Ed's in this ball game. They're going to hustle, but I just think the Wildcats, they've got a lot more length than the Eagles. Yes, the Eagles have seniors Brandon Simpson and Tim Steinberg, who are bigs, but not as dynamic scorers as the Wildcats have. So look for St. Ignatius to be pounding it down low, establish the bigs, take an inside-out strategy.
And we've seen in this rivalry game in the past, no lead is safe, so we are in for quite a treat on Saturday night, as these 2 teams always go at it and always are playing down to the wire. So this Saturday night at Sullivan Gymnasium, the game sold out in less than a half hour. All the tickets were gone. So if you don't have a ticket, be sure to tune into the Saint Ignatius Broadcasting Network. We'll have JV and varsity action for you, live video and audio, and we look forward to seeing you there.